welcome to Women's Health Sessions. My name is Melissa. For those of you that don't know me, we've got quite a few newbies in this group, which is really exciting. And I'm really excited to be able to join you every Tuesday night, 7:30 Perth time, to have a chat with a different guest speaker in all different areas. And this is another example of how there's so many different ways that we can support ourselves as women, and that we can learn some new stuff. And I don't know about you guys, but I never really thought too much about a book. I have thought about a cookbook, but I've been hearing a little bit about what Susan gets up to, and I'm thinking tonight is happening so I can find out more about this. So I'm really excited to introduce you guys to my guest speaker. Her name is Susan Jagannath, and the topic tonight is clearing your mental blocks about becoming a best-selling author. Susan is a multiple times best-selling author after successfully combining a passion for reading, a love of writing, and a fascination for technology to create a career in technical writing. She's got a pretty interesting childhood, which I'm hoping we can hear a little bit about. And she's done a lot of traveling, which is, I mean, there's a lot there. Pretty exciting. So Susan now helps people to write a short business bestseller that establishes you as a leader in your field and creates a compelling personal brand that sets you apart from the rest. Welcome, Susan. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Thanks, Melissa. It's lovely to be here with a group of women who want to absolutely have good health and improve themselves. What more powerful group is there on earth?
I think so too.
Yeah.
Well, I always start off by asking everyone the same question. So I'm going to ask you this. What's your favorite food?
Oh, my favorite food, of course, is fish curry and rice.
Ah, really? It's
Yeah.
so funny you should say that, because I've only just started doing curries, because we love curries. It's one of our favorites.
Yeah.
Started doing it with fish in the last few years, and I'm like, why did I not know about this earlier?
Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's so good. We never get sick of curry. We love it.
Mm.
Why did I not know about fish? It's, tastes even better. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Susan, for those of everybody in the group that hasn't sort of met you before, or hasn't heard too much about Susan Jagannath. Tell us about you.
Well, you gave me a really good introduction, but as you said, something interesting, with what's happening on the news today, do you know that I was once almost kidnapped in Kabul?
Oh my gosh.
Long ago, when I think I was a teenager, and I was in the airport transiting, changing aircraft in Kabul, and we had, those days the airport, like the terminal was just like a shed, and you got out from the plane, you walked through, and I had a few hours to wait in the airport till I went to Delhi. I was coming back from London, and this guy would not let me go to the transit area. There's a different thing, and he kept stopping me and directing me outside the airport and holding my hand and telling me to go outside the airport. And I thought, God, I'm not going there. I want to go to the transit section. So I literally shook myself free from him, and I went back to the boarding gate, or the where I came out from, and I spoke to the air hostess there and said, he's not letting me go to the transit area. And then she sent someone with me to this security guard, and that security guard was still determined that I went through that gate. And this chap talked to him, and then he took me to the other gate. And this guy said, oh, I'm so sorry. He thought that you were an Afghan. I'm so sorry.
What? Oh my God.
Oh, what? And he was determined. And I was, yeah. But in those days, there was no drama there, but certainly I did not want to step off the plane and go into Kabul, because I knew nobody in Kabul. I was just transiting through to Delhi.
You were traveling on your own?
Yeah, I was about 17 or I think or 18. Maybe I had gone from India. I had spent about 6 months in the UK with my aunt and doing stuff there. Yeah. I was coming back to India, And this thing happened. In those days, of course, it was the cheapest air flight was with Ariana Airlines. We don't even know if it's existing, but it was really convenient because from Delhi, you took a very short route out to London. But I was just thinking about that, but oh my God, that, we see all these ghastly pictures of Kabul airport, but coming into Kabul airport to land is the most glorious vistas of the Himalayas and the mountains. It is so beautiful that it really breaks my heart what's happening there, because when you look at it from above, it's really like some kind of fairy tale. It's the snow-clad mountains and this green valley. It is so beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, it's good that you've had lots of experiences of traveling. Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that what got you into writing, or was you already in
Oh, that was long ago, but I've always loved traveling. As I've always been a army brat child, so we traveled all the time. I just thought it was quite normal, and it's just that it kind of comes to a stop when you have kids and you can't travel so freely. Even though in India I was still married to an Air Force officer, so we still traveled, but that stuff of just traveling carefree got over. And I only started again after we moved to Australia, and we traveled in Australia a bit, not too much, but even with, I have been known to travel with a pair of with 3-year-old twins to drive from Brisbane to Adelaide.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's adventurous.
And not once, but twice.
Wow.
Yes, and that was gorgeous. Yeah.
You've got a real passion for traveling then?
Yeah, I've got a passion for traveling, which has now been right kind of hit on the head. So
it's on hold. So how did you get into writing books then?
Well, I've always been a writer, but I've been like a technical writer. In IT, I used to write, those boring manuals and websites which nobody ever reads, and they can't figure out how to work their computer, and then they call support and people will say, RTFM. Okay. So at some stage, I decided about 5 or 6 years ago, it was actually a health thing. I was actually putting on weight, past menopause, you start expanding. And I'm very lazy. I don't like doing anything except walking. I love to walk and I love to swim. And that's all. I won't go to the gym or anything like that. So I started walking a lot, and I began actually walking 2 to 3 hours a day before going to work. And on the weekends, I would walk 10 kilometers. And I enjoyed it so much that I started then thinking about longer hikes, and came to know about the Camino in Spain, which is like a 6-week walk. And so that's where I said, okay, let's do something exciting and do through hiking and walk nonstop. And that's where it started. And after I did the first walk in Spain, I know it was, I was walking a lesser known walk, and the book was wrong. The instructions were wrong. And we kept we kept finding ourselves in a paddock in Spain with, suspicious plops of cow poop. I'm thinking, okay, what do I do over here? How do I get out of this? Because there's no one around in those rural areas. And even if there were someone around, they probably won't speak English. Anyway, so that all, when I came back, I researched it, and I looked at my notes, and I looked at my videos which I had made, and my photographs, and then I wrote this book, which was, it's about a smaller Camino in Spain. But this was my first book in 2016, and it went bestseller again in July, end of July, just 2 or 3 weeks ago. So wow. This book keeps it keeps going bestseller all the time. It's kind of, I guess, because people now going back to walking the Camino. I walked it again because I had to update it. So it's pretty up to date, and so people are walking again. And then after that, I went and I did, I thought, okay, let me go and do a walk, which I wasn't allowed to do when I was a teenager. And that was in the Himalayas, and that was this book. So this was a walk to a place called Sandakphu, where you see you see this vista called the Sleeping Buddha. It's like it's like a whole series of peaks, including Kanchenjunga and Everest, which look like a picture. They look like the profile of a sleeping person across the mountains.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's called the Sleeping Buddha. So I did that. And then my latest one in 2019 was another dream called the Valley of Flowers. So these were Valley of Flowers again in the Himalayas. And the Valley of Flowers, I did it with a group of 4 girl besties. We've been friends for 30 years. And we said, we've been talking about this for 30 years. We should do it before we get too decrepit. And so we did it. So all these, for me, I find it really, it's really convenient that I'm doing something I love. I like to walk and I like to write and I like to have adventures. And out of literally, I get them out of thin air, don't I? You know, it's literally out of thin air and I create a bestseller out of it and I write a book. And that is what is like my business now. It's doing something I love. But what's more important is I love to share it with other people. And I really, the best way to share an experience is through a book, because a book, your Zoom call never gets cancelled. You don't lose your connection. You don't do anything. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Okay. So we've got a few women on here.
Yeah.
Hello, Roma and Deb. I can
Hey.
see that you're on here. And hello to anybody else. If
Hello.
you guys have any questions that you want to ask Susan regarding what we're talking about tonight, that would be great. So Roma said she wanted to do the Portugal Camino.
Oh, yeah.
But she couldn't, obviously. And Deb also said she'd love to walk the Camino as well. So yeah, there you go.
Let's go as soon as we can.
Yeah.
The Portuguese Camino was on my list for last year, and I couldn't do it.
And I think you'll find that when we can all travel again, there will be a lot more of, I believe people will do. I think this has all given everybody a different perspective, and we'll see a lot more people doing a lot more traveling, really wanting to get out and have more experiences instead of getting caught up in that whole, work life, spiraling thing we do. So I'd love to know a little bit about how you go about being an author. So do you just can anybody write a book? Can I write a book? Like, what's your advice there? How does that all work?
Well, I think anybody can write a book, but I often see questions like this: how do I start writing a book? And you get people saying, just start. And I think, that's the crappiest advice you can think of. They're asking you the question because they can't start, or they can't finish, or they're stuck in the middle. So one of the things about writing a book is, the first thing is you should really think of it as talking to someone who you care about, or talking to someone who you love. And we could translate this in business terms into your ICA, your ideal client avatar, or your ideal reader. But really, when you have an idea for a book, think of the one person whose life you can change. Think of the one person you want to write that book for. And sometimes that person could be you 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And talk to that person and write the book to that person, and that person alone. Don't say, I want to write a book for everyone, because you know the story. If you write for everyone, you're writing for no one. Find that one person and spend time looking for that one person. Now, when I coach people, I force people to spend a lot of, people say, they have all these ideas. And I keep saying, no, find the one person who you're going to talk to, because we do not want you, stopping. That's a major reason people stop, is they don't find the one person they're talking to. So that's the best way to start. Find the one person you want to talk to. Find the one person whose life you can change. That's all you need.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need to start. And that also gives you that, it takes you out of yourself. And one of the things which I've been researching in my latest book, which I'm going to, I'm almost there with it, is about unlocking your chakras. So, the energy fields in our body are called chakras, and a lot of people, it's in yoga and in Reiki, but the chakras are just energy fields. And I've literally found that these energy fields, if they are blocked, you cannot write your book.
Yeah.
Almost everyone I talked to, when I chatted to them and talked about, if one or the other of them was blocked and they were stuffed. And that is people don't realize that it's not your fault if you're blocked. There's some energy in you which you need to clear first, and then you will be able to write. And I just get so upset when people blame themselves and they don't have belief in themselves, and that's the worst thing. It's not that they don't believe me, it's not that they don't believe you, they don't believe in themselves, and that's so heartbreaking. And one of my authors, he said, Susan, are you coaching me to write a book or coaching me for life? And I thought, I don't know. Is there a difference?
Well, that's the same with my clients. I coach them in nutrition, but you coach in life, because to really succeed, you really need to understand what your thought patterns are, what your behaviors are, so that you work through those limiting beliefs and achieve those goals that you've created. And I think
absolutely,
that area it is. So yeah, that's interesting. Do you think that we all have a book inside us, and it's just about how to formulate it, because we've got too many ideas, or just not really understanding how the construction part of it sort of goes, I guess?
I think everyone, if you've lived, you certainly have a book inside you. And if you've lived a longer life, if you're a bit older, you have more experience, and there is definitely a book inside you. And while I say write a 100-page book for your business, that's what my target market is, that does not mean that you have to only write a business book. You could write a memoir, you could write a book as a legacy to leave for your family, you could write a book of paintings or poetry, but get it out of you, because if it's in you, it's it's not going anywhere. It's not just going to die with you. And I think with this with the situation we are facing, we've all come face to face with our own mortality. We could be here today and we could be gone tomorrow. So you just write it, because one of the things with having a book is, even if you don't want to use it as a book, you can use it for your podcast, you could use it for a YouTube channel, you could use it for a whole lot of other things. You could use it for a series of social media posts or a series of blog posts. But it all starts with that thinking of that content, which is written content, which has come from your heart and your soul, and it's going to go there and change someone else's life. And certainly, if you have content, or if you have advice about nutrition and wellness, I think that's really important, because I haven't written a wellness book, but if anyone reads any of my books, you see that I have, at the beginning, I have a full chapter of how to prepare, and there's a full section on nutrition and how you need to prepare yourself for a long walk, because it's not just about it's not just mental stuff. You are a body.
Yes,
you have to take care of your body first, and then everything will work correctly. The same thing, take care of your body, take care of your chakras, then the ideas will come, and then the ideas will be put down on paper or on the screen. But really, you can't do it without good nutrition. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially if you want to put your body through anything, really, it's got to be, you got to give it to support you, right? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And to make correct decisions, you can't make correct decisions if you are hungry, if you are badly, if you are badly hydrated, or whatever, if you have altitude sickness like you frequently have in these Himalayan, the first time I did the Chasing Himalayan Dreams walk, like, thought, we walked, I think, and we did all this training on, Daisy Hill and Mount Gravatt, which is a whole 100 meters above sea level, and then you go and you hit 4,000 meters above sea level, and you realize, oh, okay, I'm not ready. But what do you do? What do you do in Australia? There's nowhere to train. You have to train and go there and acclimatize.
Yeah, right. Yeah, all these things you have to sort of think of and plan, I guess, because it's an adventure, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's plan carefully, but I plan the health part carefully, but a lot of other things I leave it as an adventure. Like on the Camino, I may not quite know where I'm going to sleep or what I'm going to eat. And or in the Himalayas, I may not quite know which side path I'm going to wander off, but it's good to leave a little room for surprises.
Oh, wow. That does sound very adventurous. So what happens when it comes to when you want to publish a book? What do you do and how do you go about that sort of thing? Is that something that people do on their own, or, you know, did you go with a publisher, or did you do all that sort of stuff yourself? How does that work?
No, I'm self-published. I don't believe in traditional publishing anymore because this is the world of disruption. The traditional publishers were the gatekeepers. They decided who was published, and you had to be famous, or you had to be rich, or you had to be, they had to decide there was a market for it.
Yes.
So I'm self-published, and I think that's the way to go. Sorry, excuse me. You could be waiting 2 years for your book to come out, and at the end of it, they could decide not to do it. If you want to be traditionally self-published, traditionally published, the best thing to do is to first self-publish a couple of books, let them go bestseller. Publishers will then see it and come to you. And a lot of people have done that.
Yeah.
And no one's yet come knocking at my door, but I know a couple of friends who've had that happen to them. And they've said, why would I do that? Why would I give you my copyright and my royalties? Because a traditional publisher gives you like 8% royalty of sales.
Oh, wow.
Excuse me. Whereas you can get 35 to 70% from Amazon. I mean, why would you do it?
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're self-published, what does that mean? Like, is there still a lot of work for you to do to be self-published? Is that the difference between the old-fashioned traditional way and now a lot more?
Yeah. Well, traditional publishing generally, they give you an advance, and then they take over your book and they do all the hard work on, like they do the editing, they put a good cover on, and they format it and they produce it as a book, and they put it in, they sort of push it out to the bookstores. But the fact of the matter is the traditional publisher stops marketing your book after 1 month.
Wow.
So if your book has not done really well in that 1 month, you're gone. They're not going to bother with you because they're spending money. A publishing deal is not a promotional deal. They are publishing, they're spending their money. They want to make their money back quick.
Yeah.
And they're not going to do it if your book is not an instant bestseller. So it takes time. And it's not that it's not that there's anything wrong with it, but I just think that everything has changed so much nowadays. We don't need them anymore. They know, you don't need them. You can actually use the same professionals who are serving the traditional publishing world. You can get I always have, my books are always like, the covers, these are all cover artists. I have not attempted to do it my own because I'm a writer, not an artist. So, so you pay for a cover, you pay for editing, and you can pay for formatting. And these, the type of costs for these are in hundreds of dollars, not thousands of dollars, right? They're not too much.
You can do it.
And yeah, you can do it. So you can, and the major cost would be editing. If you want someone to do a major edit of your work, like typically, if you are a fiction writer, you probably need an editor there really badly because they will look at the development of your plot and the flow, and that's expensive. But yes, I would think that is worth it, right? Having that level of edit for a non-fiction book, I don't think that's necessary. You can, have other strategies. You can have beta readers, and you can have editors who will charge you less just to kind of go through it and see that you're not, you didn't start in present tense and end in past tense, that kind of obvious grammar. Yeah. So you don't need to spend bucket loads of money. You can really get that out, and hey, it's an adventure. Guess what, if your book fails, nobody will know. You don't have to worry. Just take it down, throw it away, and start again. Because people think, oh, this is the greatest fear. Oh my God, everyone will laugh at me. In the eyes of the whole world, I'll be a failed writer. And I'm thinking, excuse me, there are 6 million books on Amazon. Nobody's going to notice if you don't push it. Yes. So, upload it, it fails. That's okay, right? But of course, the way to prevent failure is to go with a coach or to do a course, to have someone to hold your hand just through the processes. Can be a little bit complicated sometimes. There are a few tricks of the trade you need. And if you have a coach or a mentor, that is what will help you, because again, as I said, it's sort of life coaching. It's not just book coaching. You have someone to, just today, yeah, I was telling one of my authors, and she's saying, "Oh my God, Susan, you're kicking my ass," but I love it, because I said, yes, look at the amount of work which you've done in 2 weeks, which you haven't done in the last 2 years.
Yeah, right.
Just having that accountability.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Resonate with that with my clients. Yeah, the things that they get done when I'm like checking in on them. And
I think we all need it.
Yeah, we do. I need it. I love it. I think that it's good. It keeps you close and working always towards your goal, and that's what we want, isn't it? So
yeah.
Wow, I love that, because you've kind of given me some excitement that it could be something that I could, because we've always joked around in our house that we make sort of like a health and well-being kind of book. And
totally. Yeah, totally. You can do it.
Yeah, family orientated. And then when you talk about legacy and stuff, I mean, it's pretty amazing if you can create something that you can leave behind after you're gone. And I like that idea as well, because I don't think we think much about that, do we? About our legacy and what we're going to leave behind. So, or not in
that. When I guess I'm a bit older than you, so when COVID came along, it was hitting my generation hardest, and I was thinking, oh my God, I could die tomorrow. And fortunately, I have written my books. But what do you want your children to remember you as, or your grandchildren to remember? It's more what will your grandchildren remember you as? Are they going to only remember you as that old lady who was doddering around when they were when they grow up, they can read a book and think, wow, she was a real person. She wasn't just this person who gave me my bath and put me to bed and fed me.
Yes. Yeah. And what do you think about the fact that books are now gone into the digital, I guess, way and the audio way for people to read?
I think it's good. I think it's getting people reading more. We've had in the COVID pandemic time, you had a 40% increase in children's ebooks. Can you believe it? 40%, huge. People were buying ebooks for their kids because there was nothing else for them to do. But and then there's been a 14% increase in print books, which is huge. Print books were declining, and there's been so much of an increase in ebooks that I think all books that are bought today, 80% of them are ebooks, right? So but there's still a place for print books, and I have both ebooks and print books, but I sell as many print books not as many. I sell much fewer print books than ebooks. But the print, because I'm self-published, the print books make me a lot of money, a lot more money than it would in a bookshop. And the ebooks, but not that much. Literally, if you're talking in a business sense, I make about $2 to $3 off an ebook, and I make almost the same amount on a print book, because print books are so expensive that even though you are paying $20 or $30 of it, the actual money which is going into my pocket is maximum $5.
Yeah, right.
Not a huge amount. So quite often I tell people, hey, just go and buy the ebook. Why do you want to wait? Fortunately now in Australia, Amazon is printing in Australia. So books are slightly cheaper, and you can get them within 10 days really of ordering it, if print on demand. So it's not so long as it was before. It was like 20 days or something.
I have noticed that there are some people that, especially in the health and wellness and in the fitness industry, that have created their own books and cookbooks and stuff like that, but they start at $50 and go up. And I just sort of remember, I don't know, books never really went over the $20 mark. So I find it interesting, but I guess if there's other costs that have become involved.
or if they've gone traditional, or a lot of them are going vanity. They're getting it vanity published, which is very expensive. And I've seen many vanity publishers packages which are 20 to 30,000. That means you pay 20 to 30,000 to get 500 books. So you're going to have to sell it at that rate to recoup your money. Whereas, if you self-publish your book and it's print on demand, you're not spending that much to get your books print. Literally, these books, when I get them in from Amazon print on demand, like I always have about a few books with me. I get them in at about less than $10 in cost to me, and then I sell it at $20 or $15 or something. And it's reasonable because I can't see people spending so much money. I actually have done one recipe book under, if you look me up under Susan Jagannath, you'll find that I've also published one book. So I published this book for my cousin, and she had a recipe book, so I published it for her as a legacy book because she wanted to pass on her recipe book legacy. So that book is literally, she's in the UK, so she sort of gets it in at about £4 and she sells it at £15, which is a very good price for her and huge markup for her. Yeah. But it's and she was looking at this and she's saying, oh, all the other books are $20, 25 not dollars, pounds.
Yes,
I said no. I said, do not sell it at that price. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Sell it at a reasonable price because I do feel that, what's happened with self-publishing is that you're having that relationship between the author and the reader, and it's now a relationship which is of trust, and you no longer have that wall of a publisher who also has to make his money. Yeah. So if you are a self-published author, don't try and make that money which would have gone to the publisher, because really you don't have a factory to run. You're doing print on demand. Give it at a reasonable price. You don't need to make so much of profit.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. Yeah, I feel a bit about it that we don't need to let book prices be dictated by publishers, because publishers have to make a lot of money because they're a business and they've got they've got all these things to run and they've got things. But if it's directly between you and me, we don't need all that. We can just, as long as I cover my cost of printing and I make a bit of profit, which will cover my cost of authorship, that's okay. Yeah.
I have a bit of a confession. I love audiobook.
You love
audiobook?
Oh yeah, audiobooks are growing like crazy. But how do you do an audiobook for a recipe book? I don't know.
You don't. But
I do love audiobooks, and
especially if you do a lot of driving as well, and it's good to, and driving and walking and running and that sort of thing. You've got something that is, and it's
that's another thing you need. So now when you write one book, you can have it as an ebook, a print book, and an audio book. You're going to have, write one book, and you're actually going to have 3 books which you can market. And you're feeding people's, some people like to read, some people like to listen, and some people just like the feel of the tactile feel of a book. So you can serve all these 3 books. The only thing that creating an audiobook is a bit more expensive.
Yeah. Depends whose voice, right?
Yeah. And I don't know if you can read it yourself, but there are things like AI. So I actually have converted this book, Chasing Himalayan Dreams. I've actually converted it to a podcast using AI, using artificial. So it's there on all the podcast shows as Chasing Himalayan Dreams, as 10 episodes of a podcast. And it was quite interesting because it meant that it's just the bit where I start, saying, hi, this is my book. Just that lead in and lead out is my actual voice. The rest of it is artificial intelligence. Wow. Pretty good. By the end of about 2 chapters, the artificial intelligence had learned my voice, learned my accent, actually learned the correct Indian pronunciation of the words.
Oh, wow.
And did quite a good job of it. Yeah. I just need to get down and do the other travel books for people. But
Yeah.
you always get people, some of my friends said, oh, Susan, we wanted to hear your voice. Other people said, oh my God, no, if you say it in your Indian accent, nobody's going to understand it and read it. So you get, you can't please everyone.
Yeah. One day we'll be able to listen to audiobook and you'll be able to select what kind of accent and tone, and if it's a male or a female. I mean, it's ridiculous, but
yeah, you can do that now when you're recording.
Yeah, right. I always pick the I always pick the ones where it's read out by the author, because I feel like that's the connection that I have, because I'm not.
Yeah.
So I have that connection is their voice. And I think sometimes I tell you what, there's been a couple of books where I've not liked the sound of the author and I've not read it.
Yeah, that's the thing that
highly recommended by multiple people, and I was like,
yeah, but audiobooks are great, and that they're also driving a lot of readership uptake. And as you said, we spend so much of our time in our cars and sitting around. Right. Today I was trying to get a podcast up on my car when I was going to pick up my granddaughter from school, and I was trying to drive it. I thought, okay, I better not.
No.
Because it wasn't pairing.
Yeah, I think podcasts will always be big, and I think they're popular, but I actually feel like there's just so many podcasts to choose from. People get a bit overwhelmed, and people have gone back to reading books and listening to books in the car. Yeah. I think podcasts will always have its place, but from what I've hearing around that.
Oh, okay, that's good news for authors. Yeah, that's good news, and it's definitely been on my list to do for a couple of years, to make them into audiobooks. But I guess now I don't have any excuse, because I was always rushing off to hike or travel or walk or something, and
I think you might find you get some people that are actually moving, traveling, doing the hikes and stuff that'll want to listen to it, because that's what they're in the middle of doing.
That's a good point. I just need to do it. Hey, even I get my author blocks and need to kick up my butt.
Need to write yourself your own goals. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for tonight. I feel like I've learned so much, and we've gone way over time because it was just so easy to chat with you.
Oh, thanks, Melissa. Lovely.
Yeah, I was really interested in some of your answers. I would love to hear a bit more about your travels, but we've run out of time, so maybe we'll get you on here again in a few months, and you can talk a bit more about your traveling and some of your experiences as well. I'm sure women would love to hear that, especially while we can't travel at the moment. We can think about it instead and make some plans. So if somebody was interested in writing a book or just finding out about how to go about it, what's the best way they can contact you? Are you all right to pop in your Facebook details for people to contact you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best thing to do is just, my Facebook profile is open and public, and anyone can ask to become a friend. And most people I accept, as long as they're not obviously trolls or guys, funny. But that's the best way to contact me, is to just on Facebook. Or you can go to my website is susanjagannath.com, and my books are on Amazon. Again, just do a search for Susan Jagannath. You'll find my books there. And that's it. The best way really is right here in Facebook. You can get in touch with me. I have a group, just like, I have a couple of writing groups which you can join. That might be the best way. Write your business bestseller now. That's the group to jump in, and you can just go through. There are lots of lives there. I talk a lot over there about various aspects of writing your book. Really, you may not even need to hire me to help you as a coach. You can probably get it all from there.
A very informative group. That's the best kind of groups to join.
That is really. And I don't mind, because I know that, when you really, out of the so many people who've done my free courses, hardly one or two have actually written the book. Only the people who come to me directly and work with me correctly have 100% rate.
Yes, yes.
That's how it is. Yeah.
I get that as well. People that just do the free bit never sort of go anywhere. The people that invest the money are the ones that really, you know, it's like, yep, that's it. I've made that decision and I'm ready to go. Yeah.
And that was me as well, you know, Melissa. I've been a professional writer my whole life. And yet when I wanted to write my own book, I just couldn't. I had to get, you know, I got a coach who coached me through it with a few swift kicks in the rear and accountability. And then I actually wrote and published, because before that, I don't know. I think there's something about us that we need that accountability.
Yes, accountability, absolutely, for sure.
Mm.
Yes. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thanks everybody
Melissa.
else for joining in as well. And Susan's going to pop in the comments after the live, in the comments from this live, her details, so you guys can go and stalk her and find out a bit more about her. So good night, everyone, and thank you so much, Susan.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Good night.